Hey heroes, Josh here from Panels to Plastic, and recently I've had Sofubi on the brain. What that means we'll get to, but basically I'm kind of getting a bit bored of the whole 6-inch action figure game, and just action figures in general. That I think it's cool, you know, there's a lot of people collect that way, they amass great big collections of things, but it's not really for me. I prefer to have like more pieces, and this year certainly that's the way that I'm kind of moving into, rather than just having a shelf full of junk that's all the same size, all the same scale, all the same color palette, etc., etc. So, and especially all from the same company. To be fair, like I looked at my shelf recently and I was like, this is all Hasbro. Don't really dig that. So, you know, I want to move into looking at more vintage stuff, more pieces, more the idea of you know, toys as art and designer toys and things like that. However, there are some caveats to that. One of the things is I really like the form factor of Sofubi, and if you're not sure what Sofubi is, it is a Japanese word that is like a shortening of two Japanese words that means soft vinyl, and it refers to, you'll be familiar with them, those kind of like hollow, soft vinyl toys, particularly associated with things like Godzilla and Ultraman and Kamen Rider and things like that. And therein lies the problem for me, is that I really like the form factor of Sofubi, but I'm not that into kaiju, I'm not that into Ultraman and things like that, so it doesn't really grab me in that way. Now, Mondo, an American company owned by Funko actually, they've been doing some interesting stuff and I'm keeping my eye on that. They're bringing that kind of, again, Sofubi, although I think there's some snobbery around the term Sofubi. It's a bit like champagne. It can only be called Sofubi if it comes from the Sofubi region. I'm being glib, but yeah, if it's not Japanese, there are some people who will turn their nose up at the idea of an American-produced soft vinyl toy being called Sofubi. So, but I'm going to use the term Sofubi going forward. But yeah, Mondo are producing soft vinyl toys of properties like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they've got the Kenner-inspired Alien stuff coming up. They've just revealed a Street Sharks Ripster, and I was like, you know, maybe this is it for me. Maybe this is how I get into soft vinyl and Sofubi stuff, kind of American properties. I am a Street Sharks collector. Mondo have possibly priced me out a little bit. $150 for their Street Sharks Ripster is a lot to pay for one thing. But again, we're getting into these kind of toys as art designer pieces here. Anyway, all of this is to say that I was kind of keeping my eye out, looking to dip my toes in the water, so to speak, and it led me to finding, buried the lead here, but this is the Toy Biz 15-inch Marvel Supersize Superheroes Spider-Man from 1991. I got a great deal on this on eBay. I don't want to say that I ripped the person off, but it was one of those situations where I don't think they really knew what it was. It was just listed as big Spider-Man toy, so I got it kind of for peanuts. Having said that, when it arrived, the condition that it was in, I think that I paid a fair price because it's required a lot of cleanup. But yeah, I just wanted to show this thing off, show some sexy B-roll of it. It's a very impressive, very large Spider-Man that has some attributes that I really like about it. So, as I said, this figure was made by Toy Biz in the 90s. You know, Toy Biz made all those Marvel toys back in the 90s. I collect a lot of the X-Men stuff. I had a lot of the Spider-Man stuff as a kid. And this was part of a line they did of these kind of supersized deluxe figures that are made out of this soft vinyl. He's hollow, he's got a soft torso and these slightly harder vinyl limbs that plug in. And he has very limited posability. But it is much like the kind of Sofubi figures that come out of Japan. Now, like I said, this figure kind of came to me in not the best condition. I kind of got the vibe that it would have been in a garage or something. It smelled kind of like an old basement when it got to me. So he warranted a full cleanup. I managed to, with some heat, you can quite easily disassemble these kind of soft vinyl toys. You heat up that vinyl torso till it gets nice and soft, and then all of the limbs just pop out. So after he was fully disassembled, he got a nice bubble bath in some just dish detergent and a toothbrush. Went in. He has these kind of sculpted web lines. Take note, Hasbro. That has this kind of black wash in it, but also that had attracted a lot of gunk and 30-year-old, well, almost 35-year-old gunk and fluff and all sorts of nasties. While I had this figure apart, I took the opportunity to look inside because, as I said, it had a bit of a damp smell. I wanted to make sure that wasn't a moldy, mildewy smell. Fortunately, there was no black mold or anything growing inside this thing, but that smell did kind of persist after his bath, and it kind of has a little bit of a dank smell to it now. Now, what I ended up doing, which I have done for toys in the past that have kind of come to me smelling of smoke or just smelling like old plastic, I put him in a sandwich bag with some dryer sheets, scented dryer sheets, left him for a few weeks in there before I put him back together. And one, that was just to make sure that it was completely dry before I put it back together so that he wouldn't have any moisture trapped inside him, and also to try and get rid of that smell. However, he still kind of has a bit of a musk to him. So I think that might just be, as I said, like 35-year-old PVC kind of smell. Yeah, it's kind of like rubbery. My wife said that he smelled like a granddad's house kind of thing. It's that kind of smell. But you're not watching this video to hear about the smell, probably. Yeah, so he's got 5 points of articulation, head, limbs. After taking this thing apart and heating it up, the limbs went back in with a lot more sturdiness, I suppose. And he has nice, tight limbs, all except for one. And I think you can heat up, from what I've read, you can heat up soft vinyl toys till it gets really soft, and you can kind of reset the joints in that way. So this one loosey-goose leg, even though he can stand and it kind of holds a pose fairly well, I may try and heat that up a bit more and make sure that he's standing solid. In general, after a good cleanup, he looks really good. He's squeaky clean. There is some paint rubs and things like that, a little bit of a scuff on the face there, and you know, I was tempted to maybe like touch that up. You could even do a black wash and fill in some of those sculpt lines and just bring out some more of that detail in the webbing, but it's really not necessary, and for me it just kind of adds to the charm, and that's what this is all about, this piece, for me, because I think that this has so much charm. It's got that kind of classic John Romita Sr. design on the face. This is really like the last of that being the perennial look for Spider-Man before Todd McFarlane would kind of come to prominence in the 90s, and those kind of big eyes and much more cartoony style would become the de facto look for Spider-Man. This is still using that classic Marvel house style. Now, I have to say the only issue that I've got with this figure is that he doesn't fit in my IKEA Kallax back there. I don't know why, but he's way bigger than I thought. I knew it was 15 inches tall. I'd seen the listing, and I just assumed that he would fit in one of my cubes, and I was going to be able to create like a dedicated Spider-Man cube as part of my display. I'm not really sure where he's going to go now. He's just kind of living on top of the whole thing at the moment. So yeah, he's a big guy, you know, bigger than my head. Now, there were some other figures in this Supersize superhero line from Toy Biz. There was a Hulk figure, which I'm gonna have to track down. That just looks so awful in a way. It's very vintage, very kitschy. There's also a Venom, which I'm not the biggest Venom fan, so I'm not going to track that down. Although I have to say, it is the most caked up Venom figure. I'll try and find a photo to show you the butt cheeks on this Venom figure. And then if you got all three, you could mail away for an exclusive Punisher figure, which is very cool, but again, not something that I need necessarily. I'd love to get that Hulk though, because again, it has that kitsch value, and I think that's what's really kind of beguiled me about this figure, is just that it's very kitsch. I showed it to my wife when I got it cleaned up and showed it to her, and I didn't think she was going to approve, but she actually said, you know, if you collected more stuff like this, I would be happier with your collection as part of our house, because it has that kind of retro kitsch kind of designer toy-ish kind of aesthetic to it, more than something like a Marvel Legends. So all in all, I have to say, this is one of those figures that kind of enters your collection and immediately becomes a favourite. It's like kind of a showstopper for me, a centerpiece for what eventually will be a little bit of a Spider-Man display for me. And yeah, it just has a really nostalgic feel to it. I love this like soft vinyl form factor. I'm becoming a little bit obsessed with that as an idea. And he just is so charming, so kind of chintzy and trashy, but really quite wonderful. And this is Spider-Man to me. So thanks for watching this video. It was a little bit of a rambly one, but that's kind of, that's the vibe here on Panels to Plastic. Subscribe here for more toy stuff. This is my side project. It is my, what's a famous side project? It is the raconteurs to my The White Stripes. It is, oh, is that the only side project I can think of? It is my gorillas to my Blur. Etc, etc. So subscribe here, subscribe to Panels to Pixels if you haven't already. That's my Blur, and I'll catch you in the next one.